All right, we're here at Clemson University with Valiant Player, and we're with the men's soccer team. We've got Callum Johnson, who is in his senior year, and George Marks, who is in his senior year as well. And I know George really well. He's been up at the hospital quite a bit, and he's been a big supporter of Valiant Player and the SAC group. And Callum, we're going to get up there, but for a while we haven't been able to. So let's talk a little bit about some things that relate to the hospital and some things that relate to you guys at school. So one of the things I wanted to ask you about your college career was, what was the transition like from high school to college?
Yeah, I think the transition was pretty different for everyone, but a lot of what I expected it to be was exactly how it was. I'd say some of the things that were just as I expected were the time commitment that was going to be asked of me. But something that I didn't expect was here at Clemson, we just have such amazing support staff that we have an insane amount of resources to be able to guide you through that transition. So it was definitely a lot easier than I expected it to be.
Yeah. And you've had a couple transitions.
Yeah, I've had a couple of transitions. Well, first of all, my transition from high school to college actually happened quite long ago, which me and George were joking about before, almost 6 years ago. So it's hard to remember. But I do remember that I was initially shocked by the freedom that I had, and I sort of had to create my own schedule so that I would stay organized, because it's very easy to get lost and disorganized with class and keeping up with the academic work. But once I left Boston College and I came to Clemson, I started my master's program here, and that was a much smoother transition, I think, because by that time I was a little bit older, a little bit more mature, and I had a firm understanding of the time commitment for soccer and for academic work.
So going through all that, how are you a different person from when you started college and the transfers and to this period
Yeah,
now?
it's a great question. It's almost philosophical. I think I've developed probably more patience over the 6 years I've been here. I do think I have a better understanding of different types of people, different backgrounds, and I think that's made me stronger in recognizing other people's differences, and overall it's made me a better person. But I do think the core values that I hold nearest and dearest to my heart haven't changed, which I'm quite proud of.
That's a great answer. That's great. And how about yourself?
I'd say that, just like Callum said, like my values at the core haven't changed all that much, but I've definitely learned how to empathize and see other people's point of view at a much higher level. So I think it's a combination of being able to stick to my guns and like kind of streamline my ability to stick to my values, but at the end of the day, recognizing that everyone has their background and their way of doing things, so being able to respect that and do what I do, but also work with other people, especially in a team setting.
So during this time in college, you probably had to overcome some adversity. We talked about that with the kids up in the hospital, have some battles they have to fight. So can you share some adversity you've had and maybe how you dealt with it and overcame it?
Definitely. I'd say as far as adversity goes, I think that I've been incredibly blessed in that I haven't had super major things that have set me back in my life, but there's definitely been moments, especially in college and high school, being as dedicated as I'm sure Callum and I are to the sport, that you have to make sacrifices. And I think the flip side of that is we love what we do, playing on the field every day, but especially from like a social setting, especially in high school, having to be away from family a lot, traveling, trying to pursue your goals of, I think Callum and I can both say being professional athletes at some point, definitely takes a little bit of a toll, because as much as you wanted to have a normal high school life, I know that I personally started doing online school after my sophomore year, so ended up playing a lot of soccer, being very happy in that process, but at the same time was very isolated. So finding different ways to lean into my family and my close family and friend structure ended up being a skill that I think helped me a lot when I got to college as well.
And we chatted a little bit earlier about you've got kind of a major story about adversity.
Yeah. Well, for me, it was definitely major. I think adversity is always best viewed in the right context. But for me, it was pretty big. My senior year at Boston College, I was getting ready for a big season and hopefully one that would propel me into the MLS. But I had some hip troubles and I saw a doctor and he told me I needed hip surgery, which ended up meaning that I had to be sidelined for about 6 months. So that was definitely a hard reality for me to face. So it was months and months of hard rehabilitation. But looking back at it now, it's only possible that I'm here because of that. So it's all about how you view it, the context. So at the time I was devastated, but now I can look back and be happy and grateful for what the adversity has given me.
When I read up a little bit about you overcoming this injury, I think you had mentioned, some doubt creeps in about your future and your identity. And
Yeah. I think that's definitely true. You really start to question. You ask a lot of hard questions. Why do I play the sport that I play? Do I really enjoy it that much? Is it worth this rehab? So I think when tough things happen to you, in a way it's good because you're forced to confront the most difficult questions in your life. And most people can sort of just carry on with their lives and they don't have to ask themselves these questions. But when adversity hits, it's time for a good answer.
And who was like a good support for you during this time?
Undoubtedly my family. They were there from the start and they were there to the end. And a few of my close friends back home that I talked to, but I couldn't have done it without them, for sure. Yeah.
That's a good point. So, and I know, as you talk about a little bit that, you haven't had a major adversity. Sometimes I think people will say that, but, maybe they're just dealing with it pretty good, so what some people might fall apart with. And certainly with your case, you could have just said, I'm done or whatever, but sometimes it's a little bit of the attitude that you just got to get through. I think athletics is a good lesson for that, because, too, at the end of the year, there's one champion, you got to figure out, okay, what do I got to do to get better and make that next move and everything. So, and for those of you watching who don't know Clemson soccer, this is a top-notch program. So very competitive. We've talked a little bit too about the support, the psychological support, so to speak, that is being ingrained in athletic departments now for athletes. So with that in mind, if we got some encouraging words to say to the kids up at the hospital, any thoughts to encourage them as they might be going through a tough time?
Yeah, definitely. I just first off like to say thank you to you guys, because definitely a little bit from a selfish standpoint, from all the visits that I've been able to see you guys and just hearing you guys through John, you guys are incredible role models and like shining beacons of hope for the rest of us, because with you guys being able to get through all of the incredibly difficult things that you're able to, it at least gives me a little bit of hope that we can get through just about anything. So I just thank you guys for that, and stay strong, and whatever you're fighting, just keep on doing your best. And I think all of us here can say that we're proud of you, and we hope to see you guys soon.
Yeah, and I know they miss you guys, and we'll get you up soon. And we're filming here in the middle of COVID, so we're hoping to get back up to the hospital soon. But this has been a great team, and you guys have also been very involved in our Christmas drives, and you did the Easter eggs, all the things we can do while we can't do some of the other things. So I'm really proud of the Clemson athletes, as I am of all our student athletes, and I'm really thankful for them sharing their stories. It's really the best of luck to you, and I'm really proud of you getting through what you've gotten through. Great dialogue here to share, and you know how I feel about you. I mean, I'm so proud of you and all the stuff you do and continue to do here. And I'm so glad, because with COVID, everything I can't figure out. I look on the website for the athletics, and I can't really figure out who's really a senior. So when I saw you were coming back for one more year, I was like, okay, good. All right, that's good. So, all right, so wrapping up from Clemson with George Marks and Callum Johnson, two great soccer players, really good people, and look forward to seeing them soon. All right, it's time to play Know Your Teammate. All right, first question. Who's most likely to say they don't want to go out and do something? All right. Who's most likely to start a conversation with a stranger? Who's most likely to correct the other person? Who's most likely to cook a meal? All right, these guys like this question. You know what FOMO is? All right,
Yeah.
who's got FOMO? Who's most likely to laugh at the wrong time? You're doing it right. All right, who's most likely to forget the other one's birthday? There you go. All right, you guys did